Alright, so a couple of days ago we discussed the potential storyline developments we could see with Chris in Resident Evil 9. And while in that video we went over briefly the possibility that the game could switch between perspectives of Chris and Rose Winters, or have two separate campaigns following the two and what they do in the events of the game. Kind of like RE6, but not really any crossovering, just they happen at the same time, but separately. That would be cool. Because the crossover stuff, I think that really made a bunch of 6 really irrelevant, because you end up playing the same things again across the campaigns, and it was kind of awkward. But if they were to do that, 2 straight lines, no crossing over. But anyway, today we're going to go over the potential story that there could be with Rose. I am pretty certain, I would honestly say, I'm like 90% sure Rose will be the playable character in 9. 100%. Actually, yeah, 100%. Well, not 90%, 100%. I think she'll probably be the playable character. It makes sense for her to be the main character in the next one, as well as some involvement with Chris again, I'd imagine. But we're going to go over the storyline potential, what it could be, and just kind of go over some ideas floating around. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, first thing first, Village spoilers, of course. So if you haven't played or finished Village, go away. Maybe stay for other videos, but not for this one. Anyway, at the end of Resident Evil 8, after Ethan's death, we'll get to that in a minute, you finish the game, and then the credits roll, and then there's an end credit scene where Rose is, fully grown up. Again, it's not really kind of known how long it's been. Obviously, you find out she has powers, similar to Evelyn, and I'd imagine Ethan as well. So there is probably maybe some rapid aging involved, because obviously Evelyn rapidly aged from a little girl to an old woman very quickly. So it's potential that it's not as bad, but Rose has some kind of aging, enhanced aging thing. Either way, we don't know how long it's been, but we know she has powers. Anyway, as the scene ends and comes to a close, as the car drives away, it kind of comes to a stop right at the end of the road, and someone's walking towards it, like towards the camera. You do not see who it is, but through theories and then breaking the camera in the cutscene, it is Ethan, and a lot of people do think it could be a placeholder model for him to be there, but I would probably say it might be him as well. I live off this thing in movies and games and anything that shows a character's death. In my mind, at least, it's like if you didn't see the body, and I know it's difficult given the circumstances with Ethan and what happened to him, but if you don't see some kind of proof that he's dead, he's probably not dead. Like, if there's no proof and there's no witnessing of the death, there's a potential that he's still alive. That's how I always see things in basically anything I've kind of ever watched or read or seen. Anyway, so Ethan's probably still alive. Anyway, back to Rose. I believe the story for RE9 will be her trying to find out who caused all this to happen. I believe it'll probably play into the connections a lot, because again, briefly going over the connections and who they are black market bioweapon creators, basically, run by some of the former heads, not heads, but high-ups of Umbrella. There's one guy specifically, again, can't remember the name. I did, in fact, go over the name and who that guy is in the Connections video I made a long time ago. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want more details about the Connections and everything we know of them so far. But yeah, in quick terms, they make bioweapons and sell them off to the highest bidder, basically. Kind of like Umbrella, but a bit more Spec Ops, They created Evelyn. Obviously, Mia Winters was kind of involved with that as well, so she was technically one of them. That side of the story really needs to be explored, and I feel like that will be where Rose comes in to try and find out why this happened to her family and try and get some kind of vengeance for what happened to her dad, and that would make the most sense for a storyline. I don't think it will open and conclude the connections at all in one game, but I think it will at least kind of show them to the players and to the story, introduce them properly, because we know very, very little about them so far, still, which is weird. That's one possible idea for it. Another angle could be that the BSAA. The BSAA are currently up to no good. Again, I'm going to make a video about the BSAA specifically and kind of where they were to where they are now at some point. That might be a bit of a long video, but I'm going to go through everything periodically in order, in time. I'll just kind of explain the BSAA fully to maybe people who haven't really been following or are new. I feel like that would help with a lot of the story in 7 and 8. But the BSAA are using bioweapons, and again, to briefly go over who they are, they're the bio-terrorism security team, basically. Like, there is a bioweapon incident wherever in the world, they go and they deal with it. Chris, Jill, they're all part of the BSAA, so the good guys, basically. But not the case at the end of the village. Obviously, you find out that they were sending in bioweapons to the village to kind of fight the bioweapons, which doesn't make any sense. Chris is pissed, obviously, and the game ends with him going to confront them about everything. And where Rose comes into this could be the fact that the BSA want to like find her and like capture her and maybe kind of experiment on her and stuff like that. And you know, you're all kind of out there trying to avoid that, basically, with the help of Chris. And maybe Chris is like mentoring her into controlling her powers and stuff like that. I'd imagine, again, if Ethan was alive, he'd probably be helping. I don't think Ethan will be a playable character in this one. I really don't. Or at least a little bit, maybe. And then Mia. Interesting to see what will happen with Mia, to be honest. She didn't get a lot of attention in Village, for obvious reasons. But this game is supposed to conclude the Winters storyline. So, again, it would be pretty obvious that the game would be heavily about them. And playing as Rose, probably, most likely. Now we've gone over the two story ideas that I have. I want to mention some things that could change how the game could play in Resident Evil 9, and this is... It's not a concern for me, really, but it's something to be cautious about if, again, you know, Rose is a playable character, which, again, I'm pretty sure she will be. And that is, she has powers, okay? And we've played as characters in the past who have kind of had powers briefly. You know, you look at one bit that really comes to mind for me, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but you know, the end of Chris's campaign in Resident Evil 6 where he plays Piers and he's got like the mutated arm and he like electrifies everything, and everyone wants to play as Piers in that campaign purely for that reason. That's what I'm talking about. You know, look at Wesker mode in RE0. You know, you can basically one-shot everything and run super fast. I don't think the powers she'll have will be that extreme. Potentially could be used in a passive way. Let's go for... Maybe she can get in people's heads and use them to do things, and, you know, say there's an environment or an area where she's being hunted by BSA soldiers. You can kind of telepathically tell them what to do or whatever, control them, because maybe she doesn't use guns. You know, maybe she has to use her powers to deal with things because she can't, you know, do certain things. That's just me throwing out ideas, but one thing I'll say is, hopefully they're aware that the game can't be too strong on a gameplay standpoint with her powers, because that would kind of ruin what the Resident Evil is. Again, that Piers point of the game is a very brief portion. It's not a long portion. It's literally a boss fight for the most part. And the Wesker mode is a bonus mode, so it's not something that's heavily present in the games, but it's something to keep in mind. That's just something I want to throw out there, just in case. But it is a concern, slightly. But at the same time, I think they probably know what they're doing. So to sum up my two main ideas as a whole, first one is BSAA looking for Rose, and she's trying to, you know, not let that happen with the help of Chris, and Chris is going to try and take down the BSAA with her help and find out what's going on. And then again, the other one, finding out as Rose what happened to her family and why they got involved, and trying to maybe cure herself, and that could lead to the introduction of the connections and who they are and what they do, and maybe some other bioweapons, which would be interesting, that aren't moulded. Maybe they're working on other things we haven't seen yet, you know? Something I've always thought about in my head is, what if they're trying to replicate the original viruses from Resident Evil and we get some actual zombies again, you know? That would be pretty cool. That's an idea I've had in my head for a while since the connections were introduced, just to have them try and re-establish what Umbrella were, you know, like, it would be super cool to see. But yeah, they're my two ideas for the story of Rose Winters in RE9, as well as a brief kind of, you know, discussion on the gameplay that could come with her kind of character. Do let me know what you think of my ideas. Let me know if you like them. Let me know if you think they're bad. Let me know if you think they could be different than what I've said. And of course, let me know of your own. I'm always open to having cool discussions in the comments, which we do have occasionally here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think that'll do it. One little quick note before the video ends though, of course, it's Christmas this weekend. So no streams. I'll obviously be spending time with family, friends and stuff like that. As well as the weekend after that, it's New Year, so same thing. But second week of January, I should be back on streams. All things going well on the weekends. So, just want to throw that out there. So, videos will be prepared for Christmas weekend and New Year's weekend anyway, so there'll always be a video going up. But no streams for a couple weeks now. But yeah, that'll do. Thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe for more Resident Evil content and leave a like on the video for whatever the reason. And yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow.